Our top story, rising costs slamming stocks. The Dow falling more than 1,100 points, marking its worst day in almost 2 years. The S&P losing 4%, the NASDAQ down nearly 5% today, off by 27% so far this year. Target, meantime, the giant retailer, hammered by higher prices and supply chain issues, losing 1/4 of its value just today. That's its worst one-day performance since the crash in 1987. All the while, U.S. gasoline prices hitting another all-time high today, now at $4.56 a gallon nationwide. There's not one state with average prices under $4. Diesel prices at a new record as well, $5.57 a gallon. That's hurting farmers from coast to coast, everywhere. And where do nearly 9 out of 10 Americans think this economy is going? Straight into a recession in the next year. Joining me now, Republican Florida Senator Rick Scott. Senator, always a pleasure. What do you make of the market, gasoline prices, inflation, and the direction of this country?
I mean, it's horrible. I mean, since Biden got elected, inflation's gone up almost every month, 8.3%. Producer price index up 11%. This stuff is like highest in 40 years. We've got the GDP down. Now we've got the stock market down, labor participation down. There is nothing that the Biden administration is doing to fix this economy. When you think about what do Americans want? They want a steady job, they want steady prices, they want a good education system, and they want to be safe. The Biden administration has not been responding to any of this. And now, if you feel for these moms that can't even get baby formula in the United States of America, and Joe Biden basically doesn't do anything about it, it doesn't make any sense what's going on right now.
Before we move on, Senator, I know that you, along with fellow Florida Senator Marco Rubio, have introduced a bill to try to address the baby formula shortage. And 2 children in Tennessee hospitalized. They had special needs in terms of formula. They were hospitalized because of the lack of availability. But what does that bill address?
Well, what it does is it allows us to import European formula that's approved already by our FDA. So we can, and think about it. You can do this today. We have airplanes, right? Get it here now. I mean, I talk to moms that are spending their entire Sunday driving for hours just trying to find a few, cans of formula right now. This should not be happening. In Brazil they have it, in Panama they have it, in Canada they have it, in Israel they have it. I've got pictures of stock shelves. Why can't we have it? It's because this administration does not fix things. They're not thinking about things.
Well, on that note, the position of the Biden administration seems to be to alienate, castigate, and blame companies and the people who founded them, who run them, for every imaginable problem. And they wear on the outside an open hostility to those who are prosperous. And I'll point to the country's richest man, the world's richest man, one of our greatest modern day entrepreneurs, a longtime Democrat voter, has turned his back on this White House and the Democrat Party. Here's Elon Musk. Listen to this.
I have voted overwhelmingly for Democrats historically, overwhelmingly. I'm not sure. I might never have voted for a Republican, just to be clear.
Right.
Now this election, I will.
What do you make of that, Senator?
I think every American is thinking this way. How can what this administration is doing is just bad for all American families. I mean, I agree with Elon Musk. This administration, you can't vote for Democrats right now. You're voting for high prices. You're voting for shortages. First, the Biden administration sort of acts like an ostrich. They always put their head in the sand and don't do anything. Now it's just a blame game. Everybody else is responsible. Businesses are responsible. And by the way, I'm from Florida. Here's the latest. They're trying to appease Cuba, the dictatorship in Cuba and the dictatorship in Venezuela, and they want Venezuelan oil, but not Texas oil. I mean, you can't make any of this stuff up. The radical left completely controls Biden, or that's who he is now, it seems like, when he makes any sense.
Well, Secretary Jen Granholm today was bragging about they're still talking about electric vehicles, that's how you deal with Vladimir Putin and the record high gasoline prices, is that we need to go to electric vehicles, but they castigate the greatest electric vehicle entrepreneur and producer. That's what that. Again, there are no solutions to any of the real-world problems Americans are facing.
They're out in left field. How do they think electricity is created? Do you think it's just out of thin air? I mean, in Florida, most of it's created by natural gas. And they're anti-natural gas. They're anti anything that has to do with fossil fuels. So it's like they have no idea how the real world works. You know why? Because it's a whole bunch of politicians that work in the Biden administration. They've never had jobs where they had to go pay it, sign the paycheck, create a business, know exactly what it takes to build something. And they don't like entrepreneurs. They don't like business guys. I'm a business guy. I would not be their favorite person, which, as you know, they attacked me last week and didn't even know what state I was from.
Well, Senator, I want to get your reaction to that. So President Biden has been using your proposal to attack all Republicans and say that all of the members of the party want to raise taxes. So listen to this.
Now, what's the congressional Republican plan? They don't want to solve inflation by lowering your costs. They want to solve it by raising your taxes and lowering your income. I happen to think it's a good thing when American families have a little more money in their pockets at the end of the month. But the Republicans in Congress don't seem to think so.
What do you make of that? Because this is your proposal as chair of the National Republican Senatorial Committee, 60-page, 11-point plan to rescue America. And you did say in it that all Americans should pay some income tax to have skin in the game. But he's lumping the entire party in with that proposal.
Well, go to rescueamerica.com, look at my plan. You know what I think about skin in the game? It means get a job. You're an able-bodied American. Get to work. We have the lowest participation rate in a long time. The Democrats have created a program where Americans are thinking, hey, am I better off to be on some Democrat-run program, or should I have a job? If you have a job, guess what? You pay payroll taxes. You might buy something with your money, and you pay sales tax. And if you buy a house, you're going to pay property taxes. That's my point. We got to get this country back to work. By the way, I think I probably have cut more taxes than anybody in the U.S. Senate. I've cut over $10 billion worth of taxes as governor and cut taxes and fees 100 times. So I'll put my track record against, especially any Democrats. I think all Republicans. But these Democrats, yeah, they want more money in their pocket. Yeah, cut the inflation, cut taxes. They're never going to vote for a tax cut. And they're never going to do anything to reduce inflation.
Senator, before we go, I want to get just your quick reaction. Governor Huckabee's coming up next block to talk about the rapid demise of the Disinformation Bureau within the Department of Homeland Security. But again, it's not the administration's problem for creating it in the first place. This was in a statement. It was because the Disinformation Board was grossly and intentionally mischaracterized. But your reaction before we go.
No, it wasn't mischaracterized. They want to tell us what we can think now. They want to say, oh, the Democrats, they know what the truth is. I mean, this is 1984. This is the thought police. They're going to tell us exactly how we can think, what we can say, what we can do. I mean, this is just part of their cancel culture. It used to be they canceled books. Now they're just going to cancel you. I mean, the social media does the same thing. They just want to tell us exactly how to think and what we can do.
Create a problem, deny there's a problem, and when they can't deny it anymore, blame somebody else. There you go.
Absolutely. Yep.
Senator Rick Scott, always a pleasure. Thank you so much, sir.
Nice
I'll
seeing
be
you.
down to Florida as soon as I possibly can to get out of this, well, who runs this place. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.